Hi and welcome back to my channel. I'm Franny Loves Food and this is episode 2 of the Need to Knead, where I show you how to make different types of Italian bread at home and it looks like you got it at a bakery. So in today's episode, we're going to make semolina bread. Now semolina bread comes in different shapes. We're going to be making 3 loaves, but you can use this recipe to make any shape you like. So last night I made something called a Poolish. A Poolish is basically 50% water and 50% flour with a very small amount of active dry yeast. You let it sit overnight, and that's basically creating a starter for your bread. So this has been sitting since last night. I'm going to uncover it. Just going to show you what it looks like. I don't know if you could see that. It's really bubbly and active. So we're going to add this to our dough and it's going to give it a really nice, light and airy texture. Before we start, I'm going to be using a KitchenAid mixer. This can be done by hand. So if you don't own one of these, it's totally fine. You can do it by hand. And it's just basically a lot of kneading. This just speeds up the process, obviously. But if you know how to knead, it's fine to do it by hand. Obviously, these didn't exist in the olden days, so everything was done by hand. So I'm going to be using a scale to measure out my ingredients. I know I get some pushback from that on every platform that I post on. I promise you, with a scale, you cannot fail. Keep repeating that to yourself because it's the truth. So we're going to use a scale to weigh out our flour. Now we're using 2 different types of flour. We're using Durum flour, which in Italian is called Semola Rimacinata, and we're using bread flour. So it's a combination of those 2 flours to make semolina bread. Okay, so I'm just going to pull you in a little closer. I'm using my scale. I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to place my bowl on top. Now it's going to weigh the bowl. So you want to clear that out by using the tare function on the scale. So the ingredients for this recipe are 100 grams of bread flour. So that does not include, actually overmeasured there. That does not include the 100 grams that I used in the Poolish that I showed you before. So there's 100 grams of bread flour in the Poolish and 100 grams of bread flour that we're going to add into it today. To show you, this is Durum flour. See how it has that sort of yellowish tint? That's what gives the semolina bread its yellowish color. And I buy this at a bread store in the Bronx on Arthur Avenue, but you can buy it at any supermarket. Bob's Red Mill makes it, and it's usually in the organic aisle, I'm going to say, but you can get it at a supermarket. It's just a little harder to find in this format, which I buy like 5 pounds at a time. So that's why I like to go to Arthur Avenue. Best place ever. I add my Durum flour, Semola Rimacinata, 500 grams of that to my bread flour. So I'm going to give this a little mix just to mix the 2 flours together. And for now I'm going to set this aside because we need to activate the yeast that's going to be in this recipe. I'm going to use the bowl to the KitchenAid mixer to add my water in. Warm water. I'm going to add it to the bowl and it has to be 390 grams of water or 390 mLs. It's the same thing. So I'm just going to add that in. I'm going to add 7 grams or 2 1/4 teaspoons, which is 1 packet of yeast, to the warm water. And then I'm going to add a little bit of sugar to feed it. I just kind of sprinkle it in over the top and give it a little mix. And I'm going to let this sit for like 10 minutes until it gets foamy. I'm going to take my Poolish that I made last night and add it into my yeast mixture. Okay, there we go. Just make sure you get it all in there. Okay, so I just want to give it a little mix to get that Poolish mixed in with the yeast. Now I'm going to add the flour that we measured, weighed out, to this. And now using the dough hook, we're going to start mixing. I'm trying to give you a better angle here of what I'm doing. I'm going to add my bowl in. Okay, lock it in. Put my dough hook on. So I'm going to start off slow just to get it mixed. And then I'm going to speed it up a little bit. Okay, at this point, I'm going to stop it. And I'm going to let this sit for an hour to hydrate. I like to do that with all of my breads. I just feel that the texture is so much better, and my breads always come out so much better when I give it a chance to absorb all the water, for the flour to absorb all the water. Move the bowl from the mixer and just cover it. You can do a damp dish towel, plastic wrap, whatever you like, but it's going to sit for an hour. Okay, my friends, it's been an hour. The dough looks nice and hydrated. I'm going to uncover it and show it to you just like that. Okay, now we're going to be using the dough hook to mix it for about, I'm going to say 5 to 6 minutes until it starts releasing from the sides of the bowl and it looks like really stretchy. And I'm going to pull you in, zoom in to what I'm doing. Before we start kneading, I'm going to add our salt. We're doing 15 grams of salt. Also going to add in 40 mLs of olive oil, extra virgin olive oil. That's about 4 tablespoons. So let's add that in. Now we're ready to knead it. I'll start off on a low speed just to incorporate the salt and oil into the dough. So I'm going to speed it up a little bit now. And I'm going to keep mixing this until it comes together. It looks like a nice stretchy dough. I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. Okay, so I just want to show you, look how stretchy that dough is. Okay, so that's what you want it to look like when you're done. Okay, my friends, I've scraped it out of the bowl. I'm going to add a little bit of oil. Add it right back in. Now, I love these scrapers. They're perfect. They get everything. You can get it off your hands. You can get it out of the bowl. Okay. Now you just want to give it a spin, coat everything in that olive oil. Okay? And I'm going to cover it and let it rise until it doubles in size. I would say about an hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on how hot your house is. So the dough has doubled in size. It's been about an hour and a half, maybe a little more. Just want to show you what it looks like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to punch it down and then cut it into 3 equal pieces, and I'm going to show you how I form the loaves that I make. So I'm going to punch it down. This is always so satisfying to watch. Okay, I'm just going to form a ball, and I'm going to place it onto my kneading surface. So I'm going to be using a silicone mat. So I'm going to cut this into 3 equal pieces. How do I make this 3 equal pieces? With my scale, okay? So with the scale, you cannot fail. Keep saying it. So I'm going to cut this and then weigh each piece to make sure that it weighs the same. Another little trick I like to do, not to get my scale dirty, is to wrap it in plastic wrap before I weigh anything. So I'm going to zero it out. I'll try to eyeball it. We'll see if I can get, sometimes I play a game with myself to see how good I am. So let's see. This is 329 grams, that is. 433, nope, I already lost my little game. 423, what's this one? 431, okay. So this is the smallest one, so what I do is take a little piece, weigh this, it's up to 378. This is at 376. This is at 33, so I'll take another little piece, cut those in half, add them to each bowl. 393, 394, ooh, that was close. 396, perfect. Okay, so I just want to give you a different angle and show you exactly what I'm doing. I'm using one of these. This is sort of like a baguette pan, I guess it would be considered, but it makes it really easy to bake loaves. So I'm going to try to make them the length of this particular form. So I'm going to use it as a guide and just press my dough, excuse me, out to almost the length of this pan. Then I'm going to take the bottom half and fold it a third of the way up and just press it down, just like that. Take this half, fold it down towards you, and then use this part of your hand to sort of seal the seam, just like this. Okay, you want to make sure you really press because you don't want this loaf to pop open when it's baking. Now you want to give it a little roll just to get it smooth. Okay, now if you want to give it that little pointy end that you see the bakeries do, I'm going to show you how to do that. So you just want to take your one hand, press down and out. See how it gives you that point? I'll show it to you on the other side. One hand, press down and out. Okay? And now this is the perfect length to rise on my baguette pan. There we go. And as you can see, I'm not flouring the surface. I don't want this slipping around, okay? That just gets frustrating. I want it to stick to my mat so that I can stretch it out. My 3 loaves, and now they need to rise again. So I'm going to cover them with a damp towel and just let them rise until they're puffy, not exactly doubled in size. So I like to take a little spray bottle, just spray them a little bit, cover them in a clean kitchen towel, and then spray the kitchen towel just to keep everything nice and moist so it doesn't form a skin. Okay, my friends, it's been about 20 minutes. And as you can see, they've puffed up nicely. And as these were rising, I was heating up the oven. So kind of save time that way instead of waiting. Just heat up your oven while these are rising and you'll be ready to go. So now I'm going to make some cuts into the top so that when it expands, it has the room to expand. So I like to make them not this way, sort of like on a diagonal. So you just want to do that. Okay? You want to go, about ½ an inch deep into the bread. There we go. Now I like to add sesame seeds. So you don't have to do that. You can bake them just like this. But if you're going to add sesame seeds, you want to spray them with water, okay? And then sprinkle on your sesame seeds. That just helps them stick. Again, not a necessary step. I just like to do it. And now I'm at my oven. It's preheated at 425 degrees Fahrenheit. And I'm going to place these on the bottom of the oven, the bottom rack, on top of my hot pizza stone. That's just how I like to do pizza and bread. I'm going to spray the walls of the oven with some water and shut it. Okay, my friends, it is out of the oven. I'm so excited to cut it. Okay, look at this beauty. I love that pan that I use, the baguette pan, because it just really helps you bake them really nicely, but you don't need that pan. I didn't mention that before in my instructions. You can just place these loaves on a parchment paper on a baking sheet. It's totally fine. So let's get to the cutting. That's my favorite part. I'm going to go right in the middle. Oh my God, it's so soft. Look at that. Look at the inside of this bread. Oh my God, the steam is still coming out. Look how soft it is. Oh my goodness. It smells so good. Okay, we're going to cut a little piece for me because, you know, these are the sacrifices I make for you guys because this is just a really hard job to taste bread fresh out of the oven. Okay, I just want to show you. Look how delicious that is. It's steaming. Oh my God, it's so good. Yes. Oh my God, it's so good. That never gets old. No matter how much bread I make, it never gets old. It's so good. It's so soft on the inside, and then it has a nice crunch on the outside. This is going to be so good for sandwiches. Good stuff. Okay, my friends, we made another beautiful bread today, Semolina bread, a classic Italian bread. And if you just follow my video, I'm sure you'll be successful at home. This is the most delicious bread for sandwiches, bruschetta, the list goes on and on, garlic bread, even though that's not really Italian according to Italians, but it's delicious. So I hope you guys try to make this bread. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell so that you can see the next Italian bread that I'm going to make. In the meantime, I'll be eating this delicious bread.